Listen to me, please. The goal isn't views. The goal is permission. Real permission is if you stop showing up, people would ask where you went. We are the more connected than any generation on the planet, but fewer people are trusted than ever. That means trust has become the rarest asset in business and on the planet. The currency of the future is not information anymore. The currency of the future will be trust. If you're a crappy marketer, you have to become a rock star salesperson. If you look at the kind of skills of business, there's two skills. Well, there's more than two skills, but the king is direct sales. Do you know what the queen is? Marketing. Because I would be at learning events where real estate agents were there, purely real estate agents. And they would ask like, hey, who here's made $1 million or more over the last, 12 months? 10 maybe stood up. Yeah? And those people might make 2 million, depending on their marketplace and price point. If the market was gangbusters, they might make 4 or 5 million. But then I would be at learning events sitting in the front row with Alex at Platt and Tony Robbins events. And I'm sitting next to people who are talking about 20 million, 30 million, 50 million. And I'm like, what in the world am I doing? Yeah? And I started to notice a pattern. Those individuals not only were extremely competent, but they knew how to market. I'm a rock star salesperson, but I don't know how to market. And I approached marketing in the same way that I've approached any skill. I sought out guides. Yeah? I hired a guy, his name's Ryan. He had multiple businesses doing $1 million or more a year in revenue. His primary client acquisition channel was online platforms. And I paid him $25,000 to teach me how to use, what are these things for? And Ryan taught me about the platforms, and I had his content creators on calls with my content creators. We sucked out as much from their brains as we could. And then I started to attend different events. And at one of these events, I see this guy named Donald Miller speak. Anybody know who Donald Miller is? StoryBrand. Yeah, building a StoryBrand. And I don't know about you, there's a saying that says, you know the truth by the way it feels. I saw him speak. I looked at my wife. I'm like, this guy's the truth. He knows what he's talking about. I bought his book. I devoured it. I literally transcribed it. I wrote the whole book in my notebook. Now, what that resulted in was me going from no meaningful amount of attention, like 2,000 subscribers on Instagram, to now 64,000. 600,000 views on Meta every 90 days. Nothing meaningful on YouTube, to now 14,000 subscribers on YouTube, and 1.6 million views on YouTube per year. Let me ask you a question. Could you make 1.6 million contacts in a calendar year? Nope. I would have to be Taylor Swift to get in front of that many people, right? But these platforms allow me to do that. Now, more important than those vanity metrics, because those metrics, I want everybody to look at me, okay? Because you all pay attention to the wrong things. They mean nothing. More importantly, here's the important part. 15 to 20 people who are rock stars reach out to me every year and tell me that they want to partner with me at EXP. Because when we don't have a strategy, do you know what we do? We're just lazy about it. So you know what we post about? Ourselves. And you need to ask yourself, every time you submit, who is this helping? And almost invariably, the answer will be nobody, because it's just, we use these platforms as a mechanism to glorify our ego, not as a mechanism to position us as a guide to help people to solve their problems. I heard Donald say something so amazing. You know what he said? Don't be famous for doing something cool. Be famous for solving a problem. Because guess which pays better? The currency of the future will be trust. Advertising is where I try to steal somebody's attention. Remember how Jose was saying there's different top of funnel, bottom funnel, where one is where somebody's raised their hand, they already said they're interested. The other one is where you're interrupting them in hopes that they, perhaps would be interested. So advertising is where I'm just trying to capture your attention and potentially sell you something that you probably don't need. Mm-hmm. Yes? Marketing is to help people to solve their problems. It's different. But do you understand that if I don't understand those distinctions, I'm starting off with my hands tied behind my back? Because I'm not clear on what they are. Yes? And most agents think it's just posting more. But have you noticed that even if people post more, their engagement doesn't go up and nor does their followers or their influence? Why do you think that might be? People don't care. And who are they talking about the whole time? Themselves. Guys, it's embarrassing. And that's where story branding comes in. Stories, I need you to understand, stories have the capacity to hold human attention better than any technology we've ever created. And these platforms that we have in our, this free distribution, they're all platforms for telling stories. So if I want to get good at telling stories, I should know the blueprint, yes? The blueprint is there's a hero. The hero has a problem that they cannot solve themselves. Because if the hero could solve the problem themselves, would there be a story? Nope. And then they meet everybody look at me, a guide who gives them a plan. Here, do this. Calls them to action because heroes don't take action on their own accord. They need to be prompted to take action. That's why if you do posts and you don't ask them to do anything, they just watch. That is every story, every movie you've ever watched. Let me prove my point. What's fascinating is who is the weakest person in the whole story? The villain. Who's the second weakest person in the whole story? The hero. Because does Harry know he's a wizard? Does Luke Skywalker know he's the best Jedi ever? Who's the strongest person in the whole story? The guide. Obi-Wan. Yes, Yoda. Everybody look at me. You guys are all making yourself the second weakest person in the whole story. Because in all your posts, who's the hero? Look at me on vacation. Who's the hero? Is it not correlated that I'm doing that and 15 to 20 people are reaching out to me every year to partner with me? They're directly correlated. It's strategic, guys. Nobody wakes up wanting you. Nobody wakes up saying, you know what? I need to call Aaron today. Nope, they don't do that. What do they wake up wanting? More freedom, more listings, more leverage, more confidence, more consistency. Nobody wants to partner with you guys. They want the feeling they believe partnering with you or hiring you will create. The emotion is the destination. You're simply the vehicle. You are literally a speed bump along the path of them getting what they want. So instead of saying like, who is my ideal client? Ask yourself a question. Who's my ideal student? Who do you want to change? Because marketing is about helping people to change. What specifically are they struggling with? Think about it. Agents in this market, in this environment, what specifically is one of their main struggles? Deal consistency, lead sources, conversion, yes? Do you think you posting on Instagram, you working out is going to get that person to call you? No. You need to be talking about what they want to know about. What keeps them awake at night? What is that person worried about every night when they put their head on their pillow? Money, bro. How can I actually make money at this? Is this the right career for me? Did I make the right decision? And then what frustrations are they carrying? Do you see how if you don't think through this, you're going to be lazy with your marketing? Your content should speak to those emotions. So what I started to do, because I noticed that not everybody sees themselves in me. I'm very clear on that. But what I did is I started to, where's Daniel Carrar? Is he in the room? Yeah, so Daniel, he partnered with us, whatever, he's getting good results. So I interviewed him for the podcast. Because he is the, product of the ecosystem. He's testimony. He does that.
He's the hero.
He's the hero. Not
the guy.
Not me, him. I'm making him the hero. Now, when he does this, how quickly did Connor call you after he saw that?
Like immediately after he finished it.
So immediately after you watch this another guy doing 20, 30 deals a year, which in any office in the United States is probably top 10 agents in the whole company, watches that video. He's like, I've been watching Aaron's content for a long time, but I saw you and I saw myself in you. I want to join. Just like that. Yeah? Great marketing starts with empathy. So in order to be positioned, I learned this from Donald Miller, in order to be considered as a guide, you have to deploy two separate characteristics. One is empathy. The second is competency. At the beginning of my career, I was completely lost. How many people have heard me say at the beginning of anything that I only made $13,000 my first calendar year? Why? I'm making myself ordinary.
It's relatable.
That's how I start the book.
It's relatable.
It's relatable. And I'm also letting you know what I feel. I know what it feels like. Yes? It's actually the opposite, which we learn biblically is to boast in our weakness. We do the opposite. Marketing starts with, who can I help? Permission is the new currency. One of the biggest ideas, again, and I kind of knew this before, but this idea that attention is valuable. When somebody follows you or watches your videos, when they open your email, they're actually paying you. They're paying you with their most valuable asset, which is what? Time and attention. I was on a call with like the top teams at EXP. They asked me to teach kind of marketing to them. And one of the guys raised his hand and he's like, well, how do you monetize the attention? Yeah, well, so I kind of chuckled internally and I was like, yeah, like you don't get it. I'm actually interested. The only thing I'm interested is you trusting me enough to partner with me. And I've had to go through an evolution. So like, you know, we've done seminars or webinars where we get people on calls and, you know, sell them stuff, make $25,000 in 90 minutes. But I'm aware that when I do that, I'm sabotaging trust. Yes? Because they're like, oh, you just want to sell me something. Anybody notice that marketers ruin everything? What actually ends up happening is that the monetizing of the attention by selling them something becomes the main event and not attraction. So you know what I told my VA, who's in my DMs last month? We are not selling anybody anything. What we're doing is inviting them to school. We're giving them the first 5 chapters of our book for free. We're sending them to webinars. We're adding value. So that way, ultimately, we will cultivate. And then at some point, if they ever make a decision about changing companies, they will come where? Which is all I want. I had a guy, he's not here, he reached out to me. He was like, hey, bro, he called me out of the blue. I was coming back from an event. He said, hey, I've watched 90 hours of your content in the last 90 days. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
How much time in the physical world would it take for him to get 100 hours with me? A year? How much would it cost him? Thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands of dollars. He was able to get that all for free in 90 days. And it compresses time, because how do we decide if we trust people or not? Like, okay, let's say before these platforms, how do I decide if I trust you?
Friends and family.
And I have to spend a meaningful amount, yes? I usually have to see how you interact with your wife. I have to see the way you treat like people who can't benefit you. I got to see you in different situations, yes? And then over time I determine, hey, Neil's a good guy, I can trust him. Do you know what media does? Massively compresses that. Instead of it taking a year or two, it takes 90 days. And then when they reach out to you, they're pre-interested, pre-qualified, ready to go. What I find very interesting, we talked about empathy a lot. Let's talk about generosity. Because most content, is it generous? It's not generous to anybody. People trust people who help. It activates the law of reciprocity. You guys read the book by Dr. Robert Cialdini, Influence? He talks about the Hare Krishnas. Those cats would generate like $1 million a year in airports when you used to be able to go into airports. You know how they would generate it? They would hand you a flower and stand there and smile to you. And you know what you would feel? Obligated to give them something. They'd raise $1 million a year doing that thing, bro. The law of reciprocity. People trust people who help. People follow people who help. If I'm not generating a following, it's probably because I'm not helping anybody. And here's what's wild. We are the more connected than any generation on the planet, but fewer people are trusted than ever. Isn't that an interesting dichotomy? More connected than ever, but fewer people are trusted than ever. That means trust has become the rarest asset in business and on the planet. Trust is built through the following: consistency, frequency, generosity, and relevance. Not hacks, not funnels. Here's this flywheel again. You show up, you help people, you earn attention, you earn permission, you build trust, you create change, people share the story. More people arrive and they show up. It just keeps happening. It's flywheel. Persistent, consistent, frequent stories delivered to align with the audience, right? The biggest mistakes agents make is they quit before it compounds. It takes a long time, bro. It's a long game. So here are the main takeaways, okay? Marketing is not a department. Marketing is leadership. Because leadership is really about helping people change. And marketing is helping people to change. It's helping people to solve their problems. I know. So the question isn't how many agents can I recruit? The question is how many people can I help become better versions of themselves? And if you do that generously, a small percentage of them will reach out to you, they will partner with you, and over time that compounds and you'll turn around and you'll have thousands of agents in your organization. Leadership is proven under constraint. It's not proven when you're in front of a stage. You know, if most of you guys actually got what you wanted, it would destroy you. Paul didn't spend any time talking to Timothy about what leaders should look like physically. He didn't spend any time on what skills they should possess. He spent the entire time telling Timothy what character traits they should have. I was in a men's Bible study and we were going through the book of Timothy. Timothy is a letter that's actually written from a mentor to his mentee. So the Apostle Paul, the guy who had the experience on the road to Damascus, went from persecuting Christians to writing the majority of the New Testament, and his mentee, Timothy, who's an aspiring pastor.